Hi, today I'm going to be talking about both the cognitive load theory and the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Let's go ahead and get started. First up is the cognitive load theory. This theory involves two parts of our memory, both the long-term memory and the working memory. The long-term memory is that memory that's going to be put into your storage of your brain to be pulled out later. That working memory is that memory that you have right now for about 3 to 4 seconds before you forget it or put it into your long-term memory. These two are what we call the cognitive load architecture. They make up the system for this theory. For this theory, there are load conditions, and you as a designer want to make sure you are thinking of them. You want to make sure that you are minimizing extraneous load and managing intrinsic load. Extraneous load is when you have so much going on that doesn't pertain to the actual knowledge or learning of the person. You want to make sure that that knowledge sticks within what you should be learning about, basically. The intrinsic load is the stuff that you're going to need to know before the learning can happen. So if you're going to need to know step A before learning step B, that's the intrinsic load when it comes to this theory. There's also the germane cognitive load, which is going to be when your working memory is working on actually learning the material instead of focused on that extraneous load, and therefore it causes us to learn. Those are the three cognitive loads when it comes to the cognitive load theory. Then we have the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. This theory is how people learn using both pictures and words and how they process that information. There are 3 different assumptions that go along with this theory. The first assumption is the dual channel assumption. This is where it is believed that you will be able to learn through one channel through your auditory, which is your ears or what you hear, and then another channel which will be your visual learning, so anything that you absorb with your eyes, and that these 2 channels can learn simultaneously at the same time. That is the dual channel assumption. The second assumption is the limited capacity assumption. This is going to assume that you can only absorb so much information from either of those channels at the same time. So you don't want to overload one of your channels and forget about the other, because the other one's probably not going to be able to remember that material anyway. This limited capacity just shows that you have to be careful with what words and pictures you do pair when you design your lessons. The third assumption is the active processing assumption. This is the assumption where you are assuming that learners are actively trying to make sense of the material that you are giving them. The cognitive theory of multimedia learning does align with the cognitive load theory. Extraneous processing is basically the same thing as extraneous load when it comes to the cognitive load theory. Both are in that situation where there is so much outside stuff happening that the learner cannot pay attention to the main focus of the lesson or the main goal of the learning. In conclusion, those are the main working parts of both the cognitive load theory and the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Thanks for watching!